By now, you've certainly heard the story, or probably have heard the story, of J.D. Vance's home being attacked by a lunatic. Some of the early stories referred to possibly shots fired. Turned out that that hasn't been the case, or at least there's only been one or two outlets that have reported that. But what nobody is reporting right now is what you're going to get from the quartering. So I hope you appreciate that. I hope you leave a like on the video. I hope that you subscribe or follow down below so that you can stay up to date. It turns out, at least from several sources I found, that this individual that went after J.D. Vance's home is trans. Leave a like on the video if you're surprised. There's much more to talk about with his family and other stuff going on. This was a targeted attack, and I'll share it. I'll outline it with you. I know Tim already covered it, but I've got extra details. So J.D. Vance's home was attacked. They show this video with the spooky music. They showed up at the house and used a hammer and pounded holes in every window. Essentially what this was. They say, early reports were like, it's a break-in. They said, this does not appear to be a break-in to me. This appears to be some trans lunatic who doesn't like J.D. Vance showing up at his house and pounding at the windows with a hammer. If he had been home, I don't know. Who knows what would have happened? Maybe it would have been another Pelosi situation. I don't know. A hammer-wielding maniac smashed 4 windows at J.D. Vance's Cincinnati home and has now been arrested by the Secret Service after overnight break-in. Many of you have already heard this part. William DeFore, 26, was charged early Monday morning with 1 count each of obstructing official business, criminal damaging or endangering, criminal trespass, and vandalism. Secret Service agents heard loud noises at the home around midnight and spotted DeFore running from the home. Quite honestly, Secret Service not really impressed. You had somebody who was able to walk right past you and walk right up to his home. I got to admit, am I being too much of a hard ass about this? If that guy had a weapon and had something other than a hammer and J.D. Vance was home, J.D. Vance might be dead. Okay? The fact that Secret Service let this lunatic go up to his house is pretty pathetic, actually, in my opinion. Should have never got anywhere near his house. DeFore was detained by Secret Service shortly after. When an officer informed the suspect of his rights, he responded, "I don't know," the arrest report says. He had also allegedly vandalized a Secret Service vehicle on the way up to the home's driveway. Was nobody in it? No motive has been released. Well, I'm going to tell you the motive. Vance posted on X, "I appreciate everyone's well wishes about the attack on our home. As far as I can tell, a crazy person tried to break in by hammering the windows. I'm grateful that the Secret Service and the Cincinnati police responded quickly. We weren't even home as we had already returned to D.C." Now, here's the SSRI-faced individual, probably on, well, we'll talk about this now. So DeFore has been accused of trashing the property before. He pled guilty in April to 2 counts of vandalism after causing more than $2,000 worth of damage to an interior design company. Court records said, trashing property, not J.D. Vance's, just other property. He was sentenced to treatment at a mental health facility for 2 years and was required to pay $5,500 in damages. DeFore is set to be arraigned in Hamilton County Municipal Court tomorrow. Following the break-in, footage was released showing large holes of the windows of Vance's home as cops patrolled the scene and recorded evidence of the damage. The luxurious East Walnut Hills property overlooks the Ohio River and spans 2.3 acres. The Vance family purchased this home for $1.4 million. After taking the vice presidential oath in January 2025, Vance and his wife have lived with their 3 children at the Naval Observatory in D.C. The couple also owns property on Capitol Hill. They previously owned a farmhouse in Alexandria, about shortly after Vance began his term as senator in Ohio, which they sold in March of last year. Everybody knew and knows that this is J.D. Vance's home. This was not a random attack. But I'm concerned that you had somebody able to walk right up the house, armed, right? Here is allegedly William DeFore's dad, huge Democrat, donated to Kamala Harris again. I never really understand people who donate to this stuff. Very, very weird. Anyway, works, donated to Act Blue, $200, Harris Victory Fund, $2,000, another $2,000, another $2,000, tens of thousands. Harris for president, $3,300. Now, this is William DeFore Jr., and then you have William DeFore. So I don't know who's who exactly, but what's interesting is this is an AI photo, obviously. This looks like the photo appears to be digitally manipulated. Yeah, so exactly. But what's interesting is William DeFore actually goes by Julia and was just arrested by the Secret Service for allegedly vandalizing J.D. Vance's home. Transgenderism is a mental illness. The left's attacks must be stopped. Here's Julia with a beard, looking very feminist, very feminine. This dork who they arrested, smashing J.D. Vance's window with a hammer, crazy eyes per usual. I wanted to go to let me find this other. News says his name is William DeFore. Facebook says he goes by Julia DeFore. Now, I wonder if I can find, let me see if I can find this dude's Facebook or not. Probably not. It's probably been locked down. I don't know. Let's go Julia, maybe. Julia DeFore. Let's see here. William DeFore. No, just a dead account. Julia DeFore. Just some e-whore, looks like. This is something that definitely, so if I go William DeFore Julia, and we start looking at some of these, other posts where people that have found his Facebook page, William DeFore sadly has a history of mental health problems. Okay, sure. We went to the home of William DeFore, where William DeFore lives with his parents in Mount Lookout. His mother told us that she would prefer not to comment about what happened. Neighbors say the DeFores are a lovely family, and they have never had any issues. J.D. Vance put out a statement attached. Again, born William DeFore has a Facebook account as Julia DeFore. They have the iDubbbz haircut, the mullet haircut. It's interesting. The left tried to kind of blame this on saying that he was a right winger or a drug addict or something like that. Incorrect. Reports from outlets like IdeaStorm and Cincinnati Enquirer identified William DeFore as a 26-year-old man with no mention of trans identity or the name Julia. Social media posts claim otherwise, often citing a Facebook profile. So I don't know. I mean, is this person trans or not? I would say this picture, they're pretty clearly trying to look feminine. I don't know. A lot of people are mentioning this Facebook page, but I have not been able to independently verify that. If they are trans, okay, then we would probably know, right? We would know exactly why they're doing it. There's nobody, here's 16 minutes ago, 29 minutes ago, here's the latest reporting from the New York Post. William DeFore is charged with vandalism. His first court appearance is scheduled for tomorrow. The suspect had also vandalized a Secret Service vehicle. We know about that. They weren't even home. We also know about that. Court documents, he pled guilty this past April to 2 counts of vandalism after causing more than $2,000 worth of damage to a local interior design company. He was sentenced to mental health. DeFore was also charged with criminal trespassing in April 2023 and held on a $10,000 bond, but a judge determined he was not mentally competent to stand trial, and counts were dismissed in November 8th following this year. Now, certainly I would argue that this person, they knew that it was J.D. Vance's house. In March of last year, Vance made headlines for criticizing pro-Ukraine protesters who demonstrated outside of his home and allegedly accosted him while taking a walk with his 3-year-old daughter. I decided to speak with the protesters in hopes that I could trade a few minutes of conversation for them leaving my toddler alone. Nearly all of them agreed. Vance wrote on X at the time. It was mostly a respectful conversation, but if you're chasing a 3-year-old as a part of a political protest, you're a shit person. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if this is just, you know, a weird, crazy person coincidence. But the media certainly is not going to dig in. The left-wing media, remember how they reacted about Paul Pelosi and like, oh my God, nobody can make jokes. You can't make jokes about this. That's awful. You know, Paul Pelosi standing there in his underwear with a man with a hammer in his house. I don't know that, you know, I would say the Secret Service failed to protect his home. I mean, maybe I'm being too hardcore, but I don't. If you let somebody get up to the house with a weapon, you failed. Here's
Police
local reporting.
And Secret Service agents responding to the Cincinnati home of J.D. Vance overnight. So take a look. Our photographer on scene captured what appears to be damage to the windows at the home. Now, officers were there in East Walnut Hills for several hours overnight, going in and out of the house. Police could only tell us, quote, they have a suspect. Not clear if that person is in custody or what they could be charged with. We have spoken with Secret Service agents on scene as well, who tell us a statement will likely be made later on in the morning.
You see, like, so damage to the windows, those are called bullet holes. No, that was definitely a hammer. You know, since the person was caught, it would be best to, you know, damage. Those are bullet holes. He left his spies. I mean, those are, I mean, you could maybe argue that they're bullet holes, but I mean, you could certainly argue that they're also hammer holes. I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you this much. It's only one side of the political aisle that essentially is showing up at people's house and violently attacking them. Whether or not this person is or is not trans, whether or not this person is or is not, you know, politically motivated, it seems like here you see Trump factors upset William DeFore arrested the alleged vandal is a transgender person with the nickname Julia. This is just going around early right now on the internet. You know, it's difficult to say, but I would not be surprised if the media covers this. And quite frankly, the Secret Service, again, failed. Certainly their job is to not allow anyone near his home. I'm glad, obviously, that they weren't home. I'm glad that everything worked out okay. But it's a little spooky. It's a little short-sighted to pretend like this isn't a big deal, because it absolutely is. I hope you're informed by this video. If you were, please do leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.